again, it's always dollars and stuff, but to me, that's the only final result. It should be a light.
Okay. But it's not a dead issue, Craig. Then,
I know it's not
Jill,
a dead issue.
it's not a dead issue by any stretch of the imagination. It's on our agenda, constantly really is on our agenda.
We
So.
understand that it's not a dead issue. We want to make sure for sure it's not a dead issue.
Right.
I want to encourage it to move up
Right.
faster than maybe what it is, because summer is coming and we got the kids.
What was the timeline roughly to get everything done anyway?
Well, it was
Yeah, I don't
our
think-
timeline was to have it in last summer, to have the signage up,
Okay.
the
light.
painting in the lanes at that time.
Did we have an estimate on how much the light was going to cost or any of that
For
stuff? If we were going to put a light there, what would it cost to do it?
well, the one process was to move, or thought was to move that light from 9th Avenue, which was 10,000 plus another 7 to replace the parts that we took out to fix 5th Avenue and 3rd Street Northeast when we had to over by St. John's. So there's like obviously $15,000 to $17,000 to do that estimated.
Could be cheaper just to buy a new light. And besides
Well,
that, you know,
yeah.
a light, we
Is
might
there-
just have a flashing light there.
Is there
But I think
some
this-
other alternative that wouldn't be as expensive that would accomplish
Right.
the same?
I think this kid that got hit out here, I think he's just an indication that it's something that's eventually gonna happen. It should be a wake-up call for the city to put something out there.
Since we're here, where do we go have the board figure out what it would cost to put in a light in it, or where do we sit at?
We can look at that.
This is something the city itself has to do, not the library.
Why can't, we've talked about how expensive a light is. Why can't we make that into a three-way stop?
Oh, flow of traffic. You might get a lot of phone
Tar and
calls.
feathers are going
Be
out.
sure and leave your
Bob,
number as the top
I'm
one.
already hearing torches being lit and pitchforks
Which
being grabbed
is
out
part of the
barns.
problem to begin with, again, because of that being off-angled from the driveway and the thing, even the traffic of people coming out of the library, a stop sign there, stoplight, the flow of traffic is going to be awkward. I mean, that's what's been the problem. This has been studied, this has been looked at, engineers have looked at it, we've been
But they
trying to
figured that
figure
out.
out exactly, because sometimes when you solve one problem, you cause another one.
So,
You know,
so
and
why
so you
is
have to make sure you
awkward
don't do
better worse than having somebody run over?
Well, none of those are
I'd
something
rather
that-
have somebody call me and yell about having to stop on First Street than to go to somebody's funeral.
But
Well,
Bonnie, if you
really,
think about
but-
it, that school crossing over here by Casey's, that's not a direct shot across the street.
Yeah,
No, it's
that
not.
one's angled.
It's not quite as odd as the library one.
But I mean, what I'm
Oh,
trying to say here
yeah.
is, it was a problem, and some people put their heads together and solved the problem. It wasn't,
And this is,
wasn't that
and people have been
mind-boggling, sure.
putting their heads together, trying to solve the problem, but not causing additional problems while they're doing it.
Well, I don't think
and
they
we
caused
haven't
any
got-
problems over there,
For
Did
what?
over at Casey's intersection. I don't think any problems
Oh,
was caused.
Well, but that's a whole different intersection. That's a
Yeah, but I'm just
four-way.
saying.
That's not a three-way and an
Right.
odd driveway.
But I'm saying where there's a will, there's a way.
Because you have traffic coming out of both Cedar Valley Hospice, and you have traffic coming out of the library. You have traffic coming down to First Street. And all of this is at different angles. I mean, there's not a four-way stop. So it's not the easiest thing to solve. And the thing is, we are working on this. We're trying to do that. Flashing lights somehow is going to have to be up there something. Even to me, even if you have the signs up, you need to have a flashing light or something so people pay attention to what the sign says. The traffic will do that. That's what part concerns me about taking down the flashing light at that corner, because that at least slows people down when they see that. They may not realize they're doing it because of the library at this point, since the school's no longer there, but it does slow people down when they see that flashing light. There's not a simple answer.
And with the
It is-
installation, with the bike route turning there at 9th Avenue to that flashing yellow is going to become a little bit more prominent.
It is a dangerous situation, because the two businesses that are there, their driveways and parking lots and stuff, it does need to be redressed. Nobody's trying to ignore that at all. But
Tonight, reemphasize our
Yes.
view of the importance of this
Yes.
to the patrons and the kids that come to the library, so.
So do
appreciate
we
that.
have to have, I mean, we all realize it has to be addressed. Do we have to have a special meeting for it, or a special committee, or
Yeah,
I think you gotta
what do
commit-
we have to do?
We have, the committee is formed, I mean, it's part, I think it's underneath the streets and sidewalks,
It's
isn't it?
pub-
Part
well,
of
it's under
yours,
Public
or-
Works.
Under Public Works,
Yeah.
okay. And they've looked at different things, they've got some things, they're trying to solve it as they go along until they come to an ultimate solution for it. When it comes to anything that's the cost factor of it, what we're gonna have to pay for, then it's gonna come before the full council, cause you guys are gonna have to agree to pay for it.
Right.
But I
So a
wouldn't-
recommendation will have to be made.
I wouldn't dismiss his idea of a three-way stop, and everybody says, well, it'll slow up traffic and this and that. We don't have a traffic problem in Independence. Even if you go out by the schools, those of us that are here in town might think we do, but if you go to a big city or anywhere, you got traffic problems. We don't have a traffic problem, and if that's the way to go, I wouldn't dismiss it. I'd at least consider it.
It seems to me, don't you have to, didn't we, when you tried to do some stop signs up there in the northeast side, didn't you have to do a study of how many
Well, that would have to be done.
cars or something?
Yeah.
and we
Yeah,
have
but
to
I
have a
mean,
count or something
go
like
to
that
a
you
big
can put
city and
those
you'll
stop
see what a
signs up.
traffic
Seems
problem
to me
is.
It would
that's
be a
true.
much more
Mike?
cost-effective.
I challenge your traffic problem to any time between 7:45 a.m.
Austin,
and 8:30 a.m.
Go to Austin,
Okay,
go to
let's not
Phoenix,
debate
Austin,
traffic
go some.
Oh,
go to a
I
big
know what
city.
I know what you're saying, but
We don't have a
yeah,
problem.
I can't get out of my house for that half-hour period
Yeah.
every
But
morning.
I'm just saying, don't dismiss
And the
his
stop
idea.
signs are are a possibility,
Yeah.
but we do have to do a study to even put those up, and
Yeah.
that can be started.
Right.
I mean, since that's something that was that one of the selection or suggestions in the
No,
report
we
that
had
was
never,
given?
we never talked about stop signs. No
Okay.
offense, Bob, but it would have, I'm not even sure why we haven't talked about it, but
I mean, it would slow down traffic. You're talking about bicyclists crossing down there.
yeah.
I mean, that's a long stretch of road when you come from Fifth Avenue Northeast, and people they're speeding up as they go by the library.
Oh, yeah. And as they come into town, they're speeding.
My
up, or
question
they're
is,
slowing
if you
down
have
at
the
that point.
three-way stop sign, where does it stop when it
Let-
comes to First Street?
May I suggest, we'll go ahead and take this, we'll put it back, we'll put it on the agenda, top of the
Okay.
agenda, we'll talk about it again the next
Okay.
Public Works meeting.
Because it's gonna have to depend on where
But-
it gets set,
Yeah.
because you've got people exiting the City Valley
If you
parking
want the
lot and
driveway for the library to be played with, then the stop sign would have to be in front, on the east side of the driveway, if you're coming this direction, which makes the distance between 8th Avenue and that driveway 50 to 60 feet further than what it would normally be if you stopped right at the crosswalk. So, and that becomes a learning process, obviously, for all the drivers that would come into town, because they would have to understand that that's, once they stop there, they still have to proceed slowly, because 50 feet later is the or the crosswalk. Which,
At least they're stopping and looking.
yeah,
But I wonder if, would just having strictly, walk lights, rather than forget about the traffic controlling it, just push buttons to
Right.
stop the traffic and don't worry about anything else stopping it, and people getting out of the driveway of the library would have to fight it, but, just, I think it'd be
as they
less
do now.
confusing,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, less confusing if all we had is push button lights.
Yeah, hopefully they're watching it when he.
The
pull out
problem
today.
you have, though, is we got kids, and adults don't always make great decisions, and when you've got 6 and 7-year-olds making decisions,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is slowing traffic down,
Mhm.
so the motorists are the ones watching to see who's standing beside the road, whether or not they're gonna come running out or not.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
I mean, it's fine to have push buttons, but I don't think kids are all gonna use it. They go to a college campus and see where the sidewalks are and see where all the bare grass is gone. They go the
Well, a lot of
shortest
times they'll
route.
push the button and then turn around and walk across the street before the light changes too, so.
Sidewalks
But
are
there's
in the
gotta-
wrong
there-
place then, apparently.
There's gotta be a solution, so. We appreciate you bringing it up to us
Thank you.
again
Thank you for
tonight
your
and
time.
putting it at the top
Thanks,
of the
Rick.
line, and we'll see what we can do as quickly as possible, because I understand what your timeline is as far as school out and programs being started at the library. It's very important. So thank you very much for being here. Okay, number 2, Amnesty Day discussion. Okay, we invited several people as part of this that could maybe do different sections of Cleanup Day or Amnesty for Independence. Not sure how we want to start this. Jim, do you want to start as far as the fact as to why? I don't know if everybody got the information that we were looking at the date of June 7th, the first Saturday in June, as being the day that we would have this. I've since then found out Make-A-Wish is that day, and so is the walk thing, cancer walk is. But
Relay
Relay,
for
but
life.
it doesn't start till 3 in the afternoon.
Right.
I'm not sure about the Make-A-Wish, what time that starts, but it would be, it's gonna be hard to find a date that's not
Make-
going to interfere with other things
Talking
going
about
on.
Hosky's Make-A-Wish?
Yeah,
He usually does that on Friday night, or Saturday night, one of the,
I don't-
Saturday night.
I don't know what time he usually does his, so.
He does?
we're-
Well, okay, the park's open, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
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 Jim, would you like to come up first and start as far as what waste management, because we did have, and I think it was put in your,
I put some things together, I apologize. You called me, I was on vacation, so